Hey guys, morning everyone.
Good morning. Okay, guys, we're live. So, no inappropriate jokes. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Pretty good, thank you.
Cool. Let's wait a couple more minutes until more people join. Okay, it's 9:02, so let's, well, in Pacific time, let's start. I did not share any agenda in advance, but we will do our standard routine. We will go through every team and give updates. And yes, in the future, we can experiment with the order, but today I will just use the same order we used last time. So, Bowen, do you want to start with giving an update on what's been happening in chain?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, last week, Michael finished this version short chunk header change. It took actually a bit longer than expected because one of the expensive tests was failing, and I think it took a couple of days to debug that. But the good thing is that that failed test actually indicated a bug in the code, and then I'm very glad that we did not try to rush it and just merge the PR, but instead we dig through it, and even though it took like maybe 4 or 5 days, but we found a bug in the code, and we fixed the test. And I think Michael also added a bit more unit tests that would catch the bug faster. Yeah. So at the same time, Piotr's keep working on investigating the memory usage, the memory leaks. I think he finished all the tools that he need to investigate the memory allocated by external libraries, mostly C code. And I think now he has a tool that can print in real time memory allocated from each thread, and which component that allocates the memory. And I think now we just need to run for a bit longer to collect more information to see where the leak is coming from.
So at this point, there is no insight yet?
There is some, but I don't want to share prematurely. I would rather we wait until we actually have more evidence. But yeah, so yeah, I'll not talk too much about that right now. So at the same time, Misha fixed this issue where we repeatedly apply Genesis state when node restart, which is absolutely unnecessary. And when the Genesis state is when Genesis is quite large, for example, on testnet now today is about 2 gigabytes large. It's just kind of slow to start, and Misha fixed that. At the same time, I think there are some couple larger things going on. One thing is that we had discussion about how we want to do protocol upgrades going forward. I think we've come up with a good plan, basically using feature flags to guard the code, and have separation between nitrate protocol and stable protocol, so that we can have more flexibility that allows us to test some feature for a longer amount of time, rather than having to do a linear increase in the protocol version. So I already have a PR for that ready. That I think the next step is to actually test it with EVM, since this is one of the large protocol changes coming up. I think someone who's working on that should will have to first put it behind the feature flag, and then like I merge my PR into that branch, or we figure out something to see how do we proceed, and then we see what how well it works, and do the adjustment if necessary. And yeah, that's for protocol upgrades. And at the same time, I think Alex and I have been working on finalizing our approach to towards sharding. I think we have a good plan now. We just need to figure out a bit more some of the details. Yeah, so the idea is that for people especially validated on this call, the idea is to have increase the potential number of validators by a few hundred when we enable sharding. How exactly that will be done has not been fully decided yet, and I think we'll hopefully post something in the upcoming days. And that also at the same time, Alex has been working on rewriting our syncing code that has been paying for a very long time, and is actually causing troubles because we currently keep all the headers, and that is actually quite large. And if we don't garbage collect any of them, it will cause us some. It will take more than 100 gigabytes of storage in about like half a year. So something that we have been working on, and we hope to get this addressed by the end of this quarter, so that we can fix both the slowness in syncing and also the potential issue of taking up too much storage space. And yeah, I think that's it from that's it for the update from chain side. Any questions?
We're also going through the upgrade right now, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're going through the upgrade to enable inflation right now.
You can watch on the Explorer the version of the nodes running in almost real time.
Any questions to Bowen? Going once, going twice. Cool. Okay, let's do a transaction runtime. Eugene, do you want to give an update?
Sure. So on transaction runtime, we're still working on the fees, and so Nikolai had a PR that allows us to measure disk instructions in addition to CPU instructions. So we're trying to estimate the overhead of RocksDB that it has on majority of operations. So we run Genesis populate within this plugin to measure how many instructions it has compared to how many disk writes and reads we have. So it took like a few days to complete this 10 million accounts. And now I think we have the numbers, but we don't have it merged. There's a PR upgrade that's supposed to happen this week for protocol upgrade that will decrease majority of fees by accounting for base. What else happening? So this will affect a little bit the amount of gas we charge. So we have a pessimistic gas computation, and we are not gonna do for the entire depth. So we'll probably limit it to current gas price inflation and limit the depths on how far it can go. So if all works well, then we will have it at least a good target by the end of this week. And in parallel, there's a work going on that moves contract cache into disk and introduces this cache. So that's on a contract runtime or on a transaction runtime.
Any questions?
So this fee upgrade that you're talking about, where we subtracted the base costs, do we also bundle into this upgrade the reduction of the contract calls costs?
Right. So we will shift the costs from runtime to a deploy time. So when you deploy,
okay.
you'll pay for the compilation cost. So we'll try to bundle all the fee upgrades in one place.
Cool. Okay, so contract runtime. I don't think Nikolai is on the meeting. Max, do you want to take?
Yeah. Well, Eugene already talked about part of it because contract runtime and transaction runtime have a common work item, which is accounting for the disk instructions. So what Nikolai did, he was able to measure IO commands from the QEMU plugin, which provides a pretty good and non-volatile estimate. He exercised it on 1 million contracts with Genesis Populate tool. And yeah, Bo is still working on the introducing disk caching of the contract compilation, and he's also improving the EVM. So volatility previously was 30% for everything, for all the kind of commands on the EVM. Now it's 3% for deploy command and 20% for the function call. So the function call is still high, but he's still working on it. As far as I understood, we might actually roll out EVM to the crashnet with whatever first iteration of the fees we have, and then adjust later. But that's probably something that's Evgeny might talk later about the EVM. Willem has almost finished the cross-contract testing suite. There is one thing that he needs to fix, which is taking care of execution outcomes that are failed. And besides that, that's it. I mean, it should be ready. All right, so that's all for the contract runtime.
Awesome. Okay, so is Frol here? Yeah, Frol, what's new with the node interfaces?
Yeah, so our current focus essentially is on Indexer and Rosetta. Go through the Indexer update. We are implementing Indexer specifically for Explorer needs to replace the old and buggy implementation for the current Explorer, which missed receipts and execution outcomes. And we currently observe that it's really unfortunate situation that we don't see a lot of information from Explorer, which essentially floats around the near protocol at the moment. Fortunately, we are on a good track there, and Bogdan already finished implementation for indexing most of the stuff. So blocks, transactions, receipts, execution outcomes, actions, and their arguments all stored in Postgres, which is our current solution to store the data. We are still missing the information about validator rewards, which are coming through state changes currently. They are not part of any transaction or receipt. That's going to be worked in this upcoming week. We also have a sort of blocker, but it's like we're doing our best, but we need some support from Bowen on the near core side, because currently we do not preserve the order of execution outcomes, which impacts our reasoning, what was executed before and after. In some corner cases, it may hurt us. Currently, it's not so much in the traffic, but I envision that we should fix it sooner rather later.
What's the problem with not preserving the order of execution outcomes?
If we have a few transactions touching receipts touching the same data, we cannot really tell whether which action was executed before or after.
I see.
If we have a delete key and add key in the same chunk, we cannot tell really what is the latest state, whether deleted or added.
Oh, so you're saying the order of execution outcomes in the block is not the same as they were executed?
Today we do not preserve the order when we save.
It's just not preserved in the database.
Yeah.
It's the
When,
right
when when we save them, we do not preserve the order.
I see. Oh, you mean
It's
and
not
by
that yeah,
database-
there's
by
nothing
database you
wrong
mean-
on the
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong on the protocol level. It's more like when
Yeah.
we save data. It's much.
Yeah, we can read it back.
but that's the database which is the near core database, not the indexer database, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all on the indexer side. We are working on like stabilizing it and checking that we caught most of the corner cases there. We have some long-term planning as to how much storage we need for the database, and we brought up this discussion last week. Since our currently mainnet already consumes more than 20 gigs of Postgres data on render. Just for essentially the most load was happening throughout last month in the mainnet network, and it's a bit bothering that with increase of load we may run out of space quickly. We are experimenting with GCP deployment of Postgres. We'll see what else we can do as well. We have just initial planning right now. Another topic on node interfaces is Rosetta RPC. We need to upgrade, implement the next version of Rosetta, which was recently released, allowing them to do view calls to smart contracts, which will allow them to look up the locked balances. And also there is an issue with reconciliation, but it's under investigation right now. It might be a bug in Rosetta RPC or state changes API I implemented previously, so I'm currently looking into that. We seem not to have the Explorer as a separate item on our discussion list, so I will cover it with my update here. On Explorer side, we are migrating from the old backend to this new indexer for Explorer, which will take some time since we have some extra data, and some data types are different because we were discovering that SQLite and JavaScript was not really holding the promise that we tried to put into it. And for example, some U64 types are not really U64, they are signed 64-bit numbers, and we don't want to be in a situation where we suddenly overflow. With the new indexer for Explorer, we were quite accurate with the typing, and now those types are exposed as strings to the Explorer, so we need to update and account for that as well. So Ifan is working on that part. And the next item would be to redesign the dashboard for Explorer. We also cover a few minor items, but they're very important since they are confusing people right now, namely account balances. And we have some discussion there. If you want to join, let me know. But overall, the pull request is ready. Just a few items left to be fixed, and we will deploy the better view on the account, displaying the lockup balance and proper available balance, accounting for minimal storage balance, providing users with better view on their balances. lot of balance. That's all for me.
Cool. Any questions?
Kind of a comment. I don't have like full details on what this will look like, but in terms of Explorer, I think when it comes to the EVM, we'll be relying heavily on receipts. So we may want to keep in mind that that'll be really important to show maybe in a different way on Explorer when that happens.
Sure. Thank you for bringing it up.
Okay, no more questions. Okay, let's do the wallet update. Is Kendall here? Kendall, do you want to give an update on the wallet?
Sure thing. So the main focus on the wallet right now is a couple of core features for, well, essentially like being fully live now. So one of the ones is the ability to withdraw from exchanges. So this involved us having like an implicit account creation step in the wallet. So we have like basically a temporary version of this flow that's coming out today, since it was sort of an immediate user need. And then we're going to be working out like a more permanent flow after releasing this. For Wednesday, for this week's Wednesday release, we're targeting the ability to partially unstake your tokens. Right now, you have to unstake everything. And then we're also targeting the ability to stake from like your base account. So staking when you don't have a lockup contract. As currently in the wallet, you must stake, which is the lockup contract. And then we have a couple of sort of like error handling and just like general UX improvements that are coming. I just posted basically the like very short-term roadmap for the wallet. This is like a few of the features we're working through, basically to, you know, satisfy like the core user needs right now before we start like getting back to like the more longer term like Q4 roadmap. So yeah, any questions I can answer for anyone?
Are we releasing the feature that allows people to withdraw from exchanges?
Yeah, we're targeting to release again like the temporary version of that today, because that's obviously been essentially a P0.
Any more questions? Okay, thanks, Kendall. So let's do the infra now. Is Sandi here?
Yeah, I'm here. So yeah, for us, last week we had the release. Today we had the other release for mainnet, the stable release for the inflation stuff. Mostly we are working on figuring out our RPC stuff. So Nick created a Terraform configuration PR, which we have to review and test. But essentially the PR like enables you to set up RPC infrastructure for like any network through code. So you don't have to click through like the UI anymore. We'll be able to auto scale and like build more RPCs instantly through the code. Also, we are trying to figure out how the auto scaling would work, because the biggest problem for us currently is that the RPC nodes are not stateless. You have to wait for them to sync. So we are trying to find a way how can we effectively do the backups fast, and then once we create a new RPC node, how do we sync the data from one to the other? So like that's the biggest challenge we have right now. We also had some incidents last week, which are going to be reviewed. Mario added some monitoring and Greylog for mainnet. We didn't have that before. So now we have all the graphs we had on betanet and testnet on mainnet now as well, and the logs are being collected. We improved some stuff on like NearUp. For example, we added log rotate because people were complaining about it. We set up discourse for the community so they can join on that. And we had some PTOs last week as well. So not some things are waiting. Also, one thing we figured out today with the new beta release is that the archival nodes die on a migration because most likely the archival nodes are too big, and there's like some big allocation happening there. So we are trying to figure out. Bowen is looking into that now, and we are trying to figure out like why did it happen. But it happened only on archival nodes and on the ones which are very big. Yeah. So
yeah, it's like the step. I didn't tune the step very carefully, so I was just like too much more data than I had anticipated. So I think it ran out of memory trying to apply blocks. I mean that specific migration is very expensive for archival nodes, and I think I did not take into account that because there was also a load testing happening on betanet, and it's like blocks are a lot of blocks are actually full, and that actually caused some problems.
Which protocol upgrade is this?
It's not protocol upgrade.
Oh, I'm sorry, which migration?
Database.
12 to 13.
For archival node, it applies the entirety of the history of the chain to fix the inconsistency in the transaction outcome column. I mean, it's not the best. I mean, it's pretty much the easiest approach that we come up with to resolve this this inconsistency for the archival nodes. We could have put more time into optimizing it, but I think this is just the most convenient thing I think we come up with. I mean, I discussed with Evgeny, and I mean, there could be like other ways we can do this, but will still involve like applying blocks and so on. So I think in this specific case, we just didn't like. I just like I had like too large step size, and it potentially caused like too much memory to be stored in the state store update.
The question is like, can we somehow fast resolve it?
I mean, we can, but betanet at this point, since we're going to repurpose anyways, I don't think we need to resolve it. Or like, I mean, I don't think we need to recover from that state. We can just have nodes that are not archived. We don't have to keep the history right now.
But we yet to apply the same migration on mainnet, right? So does it?
No. The same migration has already. So I've already tested on testnet and mainnet. Both works well. It's just betanet. I think it's just like during that load testing, it has too much data, and the step size is not tuned very well. Like I mean, I could just make the step size 1, but it would just be even slower.
But for me to understand, you tested the migration, but the migration was not applied yet, right? The nodes that are live on mainnet today, they do not have that migration applied.
Right, and that only affects archive. So that's not precise. I've applied in some nodes that we run, not all of them.
Cool. Sounds good. But my question was, if between now and the time when other people apply this migration, there's a lot of load and some large blocks do appear, will the migration go down?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think I can change the step size to be smaller. So
sounds good. Cool. Any questions about infrastructure?
Question. What is our plan with betanet, crashnet, mocknet? Do we merge them?
So
do we take ownership of any one of them?
So what's gonna happen in the future? More and more validators are spinning off nodes from betanet, and most of them are gonna be moved to guildnet. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna repurpose crashnet, and crashnet is gonna become betanet essentially. Like betanet is gonna be the network which is gonna be broken, and we're gonna control the stake there. So like you can think that crashnet is becoming betanet, but it's not really the case, but it is kind of. So yeah, betanet is gonna be the place where we test all the stuff, and which is gonna be down.
And mocknet is,
sorry?
Mocknet is gonna remain as is.
Mocknet can remain as is, but like we can also merge it. I don't see the problem why couldn't we merge it with betanet and then just spawn up spawn up more machines for load testing on betanet.
Remember that mocknet requires that nobody touches it during the tests.
Okay,
right? It relies on certain invariant.
Okay, I see. Then yeah, Mocknet's gonna stay Mocknet, I assume.
Please keep me and probably Vlad in the loop, because we have Wallet and Explorer deployed for Betanet, and we need to adjust
Yeah,
it.
I don't think that would change. Well, we will probably do a hard fork, but otherwise, I don't think the infrastructure needs to change there.
Yeah, why are we doing the hard fork?
Just so that people cannot easily join. So we can have full control of the network.
Okay. The hard fork, if there are more questions about whether we're doing hard fork or not, let's take them offline. Okay. Alex, do you want to give an update on what's been happening in the VM and bridge?
Yeah, sure. Quick update. Thanks for inviting me for the call. Joining the first time, so it might be not well prepared things. So on the bridge, yeah, thanks. So yeah, let's start with EVM as a top priority epic right now. So we are trying to figure out the scope of everything that we need to deliver right now, and we started to work on the roadmap for this. So it seems like we can deliver EVM in several stages, similar to how the mainnet was launched. First of all, we need to deliver almost the thing that we already have. We need to have a couple of issues resolved, and then we can merge everything into master together with the feature flags. And then we can put the EVM in the crash net. And probably it is going to become a beta net soon. So, and this is going to be our nightly place for nightly builds of the EVM. And then we would like to add much more additional features. Probably some of them are going to be proposed to the community for the bounties. And this is something that we are hopefully going to release by the end of the year. So this is the second stage. By the end of the second stage, we would probably have something that is pretty much stable version of the EVM. And this is something that we would like to put in the test net at some point, probably early in the next year. So yeah, it seems like this is a very rough estimation. We, me and Eugen, we need to work together on the scoping and figure out when we can deliver this. But it seems like that without any additional resources on the project, it would be hard to deliver a stable EVM version in the mainnet this year. On the bridge side, on the bridge, the state is much better, I would say. So there are quite a lot of people that are working there, and that is great. Alex Kuprin is a tech lead of the project, and he is doing right now the architecture proposal, which seems like that we all agree with this proposal. And now he proposes the testing infrastructure for the bridge. As you know, it contains lots of different parts in it. Yeah, so again, we are going to do the roadmap for the bridge, but it seems like we can deliver bridge much faster and within this year, with the exception of the some additional things that are interconnecting EVM and bridge. For example, the transfers of the tokens of the ERC20 tokens from the near EVM to the MEP21 and stuff like that. But yeah, but overall, this project is in a much better state.
Cool. Okay, so
questions.
Sorry, yes. Are there any questions?
So I remember a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Evgeny Kapun estimated it would take him 3 more months to complete all the changes to Solidity contracts that he planned to do, including upgradability and performance improvements. We need performance improvements so that we don't have crazy costs running on mainnet.
Yeah.
It seems like we need to parallelize it somehow, right? Because Evgeny Kapun is now the only person who knows about it. What's the plan there?
So there is no plan. So this is about the bridge. There is no plan at the moment here, but I remember this issue that Evgeny is mentioning, that there are quite a lot of refactoring that should be done there. Yeah, we are going to work with Alex Kuprin on this.
Okay. So one FYI for Vlatrolov is that EVM might create a bunch of work for Rosetta, as Eugene pointed out on Friday, which is because we want to provide more granular information or to the Rosetta users, so we need to account for that too.
What kind of granular information? Like, we only expose balance changes at the moment.
Yes. So the accounts inside EVM are virtual. We want to actually expose them maybe as real accounts on Rosetta, something like that.
I see.
I have a question. It sounds like we're using CrashNet for the EVM. So is that going to be the only network that has the compilation flag saying turn on the EVM? Is that how we're going to do this? I guess
yeah, let's use BetaNet for that so that people don't get confused. But yes, okay. It'll be on BetaNet.
So only BetaNet will use that flag?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Did we miss
I want to ask, like, on the EVM side, when are we ready to put it behind the feature flag so that we can get started? We can start testing, and maybe even I mean, as soon as we do that, we can even merge into master, because ideally that shouldn't affect anything, and then people who are working on EVM can keep working on EVM and then update as necessary.
Alex, I can comment on this. So we pretty much need to hide it not only behind the feature, we need to hide it behind the compilation, because there's way too many places where it affects, it has changes, including like Genesis config for like cost of EVM that needs to be exposed, and we don't want to merge them to master, well, like to mainnet like networks yet. So I would recommend just hide everything behind the compilation feature.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Maybe we but by feature flag, I mean like a compilation feature flag.
Okay.
Yeah, it's exactly how we designed the upgradability with this in mind.
But then we will need to like release feature later on as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're on the same page. I think it will be maybe next week, because I don't have time to hide it behind this week due to finishing the upgrade.
Is there any other? Is there any other protocol change that we're doing so that we can test the new way to do the upgrade? Or are we actually doing anything like this week, for example?
We do features, but I don't know if we want to test it this way. Feature, we will do fee upgrade.
Well, the idea is that going forward, every feature would be every upgrade would be done this.
Let's think up on how to do this.
Cool. Okay. Did we forget anyone? Is there any component we did not do an update on?
No, but I want to make two small engineering-wide announcements. So one of them is that Mike and Chad are now going to be working with Eugene, and the scope of what he's working on is going to expand to not just transaction runtime and contracts, but also to the applications of those things. And so Mike and Chad are going to be figuring out how to make sure when partners come to us, they can actually use all that without our help. That's one of the main goals that is going to be for them. And then the other announcement is, let me show you our current milestone. So that's how we did in the past 2 weeks. You see that we closed almost everything, which is great. One thing which is not great is that we did not put everything into the milestones, which means there are approximately 2 to 3 people worth of work items that were not tracked. that were just like done somehow in the background by people, which is okay. I mean, since we're just rolling out this process, it's not doesn't have to be fully rigid. We just need it for several reasons. Just to remind you that we needed to be able to debug when we have a scope creep, when we miss the deadlines as we're doing the planning, and to allow the visibility between the peers into what their colleagues are working on, which is actually very important. So please make sure to fill up the next milestone in the current one, and yeah, close the issues when you're done with them. Thank you.
Cool. Anything else people want to discuss?
I have one. It's been a while since I've heard from the NEP 107, which is disable refunds and burn all prepaid gas. It sounds like that's not imminent, but want to check in on that so I can communicate to partners.
So I still not sure we should do this. So like it has very like visible short-term effect. But at the same time, if you do this later and decide to go with this path later, then it will have even worse effect. But definitely, we should first upgrade fees to lower, so contracts can be updated to lower fees before they figure out what's the minimum cost they need to attach so the contract works. And then if they decide to burn it, like we decide to upgrade and actually burn them, then it will not be as bad. And we definitely need like a lot of time to give to DevX and tools to make sure all of this migrated to lower gas defaults. So even so, it seems like a reasonable change. It will have very negative consequences immediately once it's released. So we need to make sure if you go with this path, then the rollout of this feature has to be well like estimated over time and like spread over time. So all, including like applications, partners, tools, wallet, everything has to be updated, including docs, like all the like contracts that are currently touched, mostly lockups and other effects. So yeah, so currently it's not in short term.
Cool, thanks.
Cool. Anything else we want to discuss today? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, thanks everyone. And let's keep on shipping.
Cool, bye.
Bye, y'all.
I guess.